We'll begin with our lead story tonight. President Bola Tinubu's declaration of nationwide security emergency, just as he has ordered the Nigerian police and armed forces to recruit additional personnel to tackle rising insecurity across the country. In a statement issued from the State House, the president directed the police to recruit 20,000 new officers, bringing the total planned intake to 50,000. He also authorized the use of the National Youth Service Corps camps as temporary training facilities for the recruits. Tinubu gave the Department of State Services authority to deploy trained forest guards to flush out terrorists and bandits operating in Nigeria's forests, and ordered the recruitment of more personnel to strengthen the said operations. Nigerian Senate is proposing the death penalty as the maximum punishment for kidnapping, banditry and other terrorist acts. The resolution followed a heated session on Wednesday, during which lawmakers expressed deep concern over Nigeria's escalating insecurity, triggered by deadly attacks on a church in Eruku, Kwara State, and on schools in Kebbi and Niger States. News Center's National Assembly correspondent, Sagir Ibrahim, has the story.
The November 18 attack, which showed heavily armed men storming Christ Apostolic Church in Eruku, Kwara State, killing 2 worshippers and abducting 38 others, set the tone for the tense debate. While considering a motion on the urgent need to curb insecurity in Kwara, Kebbi and Niger States, lawmakers warned that schools, churches, markets and rural communities have become vulnerable targets for terrorists and bandits.
Intelligence reports revealed the involvement of internal collaborators, often driven by economic and political desperation, who aid criminal groups with information, logistics, and escape routes.
Several lawmakers questioned why kidnapping victims are often released unharmed, while perpetrators remain unarrested. Others raised concerns over the withdrawal of soldiers from the school in Kebbi minutes before the attackers struck.
The governor of Kebbi said that somebody ordered troops out and people were kidnapped. Till today, nobody in Nigeria knows what happened, and no question has been asked. And we're sitting down here as a parliament, and we turn and we talk. Yet, somebody is responsible.
Some of these tactics are becoming increasingly, obviously counterproductive. Perceived or real payment of ransom embolden these bandits to continue in their exploits.
The president, Nigeria is at war, and international conspiracy is involved. So we should all understand that, and we should not trivialize this matter.
Review the Nigerian firearm law. Every man deserves the right to protect and defend his life and that of his family. And bringing a knife to a gunfight can never be a fair fight.
The debate concluded with increased calls by lawmakers for the adoption of the death penalty for kidnapping, banditry, and terrorism.
It is time for this hollow chamber to put a very strong voice to probably once and for all passing a death penalty on anybody involved or associated with kidnapping.
An amendment to the Act to ensure that the offense of kidnapping becomes a terrorist act, and in addition carries a death sentence without any option of fines of fine, and without any discretion on the part of the judiciary. Those in support say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The Senate thereafter approved more than 10 resolutions, including an investigative hearing to determine why troops were withdrawn from Government Girls Secondary School, Maga, in Kebbi State before the abduction, and to establish the circumstances surrounding the death of Brigadier General Megari Uba with a 2-week deadline for findings. The committees on Army, Defense, Interior, and Police Affairs were given 1 week to brief the Senate on actionable measures to address rising insecurity in the country, while the committees on Air Force and National Security were dissolved over non-performance. The Senate also resolved that its leadership should meet with President Bola Tinubu to formally communicate the Chamber's position and urgent security recommendations. From the National Assembly, Abuja, for News Central, Sagir Ibrahim.
My colleague Sagir Ibrahim was at the National Assembly where he witnessed the rowdy session over insecurity. He is joining in for this conversation. Also is Dr Awwal Aliyu, Deputy National Coordinator, retired members of Nigerian Armed Forces. Sagir, the Senate took several strong positions today, including proposing the death penalty for kidnapping. From your observation inside the chamber, how seriously are lawmakers pushing for this measure to become law?
The submissions of these lawmakers, this conversation, this deliberation, this debate definitely touched a nerve the moment that Kwara South Senator Lola Ashiru raised the motion of urgent national importance. For them, it has become one too many a case of attacks on communities, on senatorial districts of theirs, and of course on their constituents who have continued, to complain and cry out owing to the consistent security breaches in this area. So they took the opportunity to voice out concern, saying enough is enough. And of course, time has come for the Nigerian government and of course security agencies to sit up with the full intention of ensuring that these, issues are addressed wholly and holistically. A lot of them raise questions as to the reason why, there has been these continuous breaches in spite of the fact that in some cases, Nigerians had the opportunity of foresight, getting information before some of these attacks happen, actionable intelligence, but no actions taken, as a result of that. All of this led, of course, to the rising in temper of some of them, rising in the temperament of these lawmakers who, of course, say enough is enough, and of course, they want these issues to be tackled and ended once and for all. Felicity.
One major point of contention was the withdrawal of troops from the Kebbi State School. Just minutes before the attack, you could even see the passion with which the senator was speaking. What more have you gathered about lawmakers' concerns and what the Senate hopes to uncover in its investigation?
For them, it's investigate, and investigate even more. I mean, so like Senator Inaya Baribe had mentioned, the governor of Kebbi State had also, during the course of speaking with the press, revealed that there were cause to believe that information had gotten, to the government that the soldiers that were positioned at the government girls secondary school in Maga, Kebbi State were withdrawn just a few minutes before the attack happened. Of course, this in one way or the other means a direct sabotage of the operations of the Nigerian military, the Nigerian armed forces, and the Nigerian government that is taking so much effort to ensure, that these areas, these schools are safe. But then again, we see issues like this happen, and there is nobody asking questions. This is the reason why they are saying that it has to be investigated. Nigeria and Nigerians cannot continue to see situations, where these attacks happen and then nothing is done about it. But then also is the issue about the rhetoric, about the payment or negotiation, with these individuals, which some of them say will only embolden the bandits and the terrorists to do more in terms of perpetrating their acts and their activities. Hence the reason why quite a number of others mention the need to amend the Terrorism Act, posing a death sentence to those found, culpable for kidnapping, terrorism, and banditry. Others also call for an amendment to the Nigerian Firearms Act to, in one way or the other, permit Nigerian citizens and give them an opportunity to defend themselves. Like in the words of Senator Asuku Ekpeyong, you can't go to a gunfight holding a knife and expect to come out victorious. Felicity.
Well, firearms controversy has been with us for a long time. But thank you, Sagir, for your coverage of today's session. Let's switch now to Dr. Aliyu and just take on what the president said. He has issued nationwide security emergency. Does this have the same interpretation as a state of emergency on security?
Thank you very much for having me. Yes, it is the same thing as a state of emergency in security. I want to commend here the President and Commander-in-Chief Bola Tinubu for being very proactive on this security matter. This has indicated clearly that the man is very willing and is ready to ensure that the safety of life and property of Nigerians is guaranteed. He is giving marching orders that additional 20,000 policemen be recruited. That will be 50,000. He has equally given instruction to the state security service to go into the be part of the forest guard and also recruit additional personnel. And you will recall that the Chief of Army Staff last week, when he went to Kaduna, that's Lieutenant General Waidi, also mentioned that the Army will recruit 24,000 personnel. This recruitment and improving on the capacity and manpower needs of the security agencies indicate seriousness in the government to ensure that lives and properties are secured. And like I said again, you recall the president gave marching orders on the Kebbi schoolgirls to the Minister of State Defense, Dr. Bello Motowale, to ensure that they are safely returned back to their families. And you can see that the Minister Bello Motowale had delivered on the instruction given to him. And also the president gave directives to the Inspector General of Police to withdraw all police officers from VIP protection. And we also saw a circular going around requesting all units to ensure that all men are back to the station. This clearly indicates a serious government, a serious president.
Yeah, but considering the urgency, the seeming urgency of the situation, I mean, we have rising insecurity. We've seen the number of times that there's been breaches, students and travelers, multiple people have been kidnapped. So this recruitment of more men, they will require time to train. They will require time to get into the system. Even those that were removed from VIPs need retraining. So how soon do you expect these additional officers to impact the rising insecurity in this country?
Well, yes, I agree with you, because they cannot just go out there and begin to work without the knowledge of what they are working about, or what the code of conduct of their job says, or even what is the constitutional provision for them to even function. So I agree, yes, they must be trained, and that training naturally is supposed to take like 6 months. But I will recall that during the late General Sani Abacha's administration, he was recruiting soldiers, and they were trained for only 3 months.
6 months. 6 months. So in the interim, what happens? What are the plans to ensure that there is...
That is where I'm going to. These guys can be also, the training, 6-month training can be reduced, be compacted to take place in 3 months. And it has happened in Nigeria in the past. During the late General Sani Abacha's government, he recruited soldiers. The training was compacted, and they were trained in 3 months instead of 6 months. So the same thing can be done. The training can be compacted, and then they can be trained in 3 months. That is, and you will say that also between now and the next 3 months, even if they are going to be trained for 3 months, what happened in between? Well, here I would say that there's very serious need for synergy, for cooperation between the community and the security agencies. Also, there is a very serious need, to involve not only the community, but also the civilian joint task force, for example, that are voluntarily providing security services and also leading, in most cases, the security agencies, because they belong to community and the communities are working with them. I will equally recommend highly that in this recruitment, some members of the civilian joint task force can be screened properly and be absorbed, into this, and that will give room for the short compartment of the training. That will assist greatly in fighting insurgency. Also, between the Nigerian police and the armed forces, there were some of those guys that were on training, that were on service rather, and had one little problem or the other that could, they could be reconsidered for absorption. Those ones are already trained, though now out of the service, but they can be reconsidered for
we have
absorption,
less than 3 minutes for this conversation.
As a special squad to handle this insecurity that we're facing.
Death penalty. Speak to that quickly. That's the Senate position for perpetrators of kidnapping, banditry, and terrorism. Isn't this coming a little too late? And you're thinking, is it appropriate? Why now?
Well, it is better late than never, you know. It is coming late, but it is better late than never. And at least Nigerians are getting proactive, the lawmakers are getting proactive, the government is getting proactive. Nigerians are waking up from their slumber and then opening their eyes wide to ensure that they are safe. So the death penalty, that is the right way to go, because these guys are equally, they are killers too. So a killer, if found, should also be killed. There's just no reason for any option. Like the Senate President said that they shouldn't be given any option. The court also should not be given any option. Whoever is caught kidnapping should be sentenced to death by whatever, either firing squad or hanging or whatever. Yes, I agree with that, because these guys are equally killers. They had no human sympathy when they kidnap. After kidnapping, they ask for ransom. After payment of ransom, at the end of the day, most of the people they kidnapped get killed, and then the parents,
in 1 minute, sir.
Pick dead bodies.
In 1 minute, the president called for a review of laws to allow states to establish state police where necessary, and urged local authorities and religious institutions to improve security measures, but specifically about state police. Do you think that endorsement from the president will expedite action towards establishing state police, or there is still going to be bureaucracy around it?
Left to me, still there is no need for state police. Instead, the different outfits that the government, various state governors has established, can as well be reabsorbed into the police. Because if you take a lot of states have vigilante or what have you, or they call them different names, and those ones have been trained. Some even provide weapons for them. So if they have been so trained and the weapons have been provided, all that needed to be done is for the government to absorb all these people into the new Nigerian police structure that they are recruiting 50,000. Absorb them automatically, and that is where you can even give them maybe a 1 month training, because most of them have already got through training, and most of them were trained either by policemen, retired policemen or serving policemen, or retired military men, or retired military serving or retired military men, serving or retired members of the DSS. You can, of course, absorb those ones and give them 1 month training and send them out to continue to do what they have been trained to do by the state. So by so doing, you will have sufficient members of policemen within the state that are serving under the federal government, but then they are within the state because they were trained as vigilante or group, whatever name you state call them, to handle security matters. Outside Katsina State, for example, you will recall the governor trained some personnel, provided them with
so
weapons.
While you're not in support of state police, you do think that there are options that can be explored. Thank you very much.
This is the options that I'm providing. Also, my problem with state police is I don't think Nigeria is too right for state police, because governors might use these policemen against political opponents.
All right, we'll have to leave it there for now, I'm afraid. Thank you very much, Dr. Aliyu, for speaking with us. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome, my pleasure.